Okay, I'll check, I'd like to call a meeting to order for the town of Coronation, February 25th, 2025. We have an agenda before us. We need to add to the in-camera items.
Yeah, we need to do an in-camera for housing.
16.3.
Yes, please.
Okay. No.
Yeah, I'll move to accept the addition.
Cody moves to accept it with the change. All in favor? Carried. Now, should we go to the RCMP?
For sure.
Because this other stuff could take a while.
Yeah.
Line 1 RCMP reports.
Yeah, I have a quick update.
Aaron, thanks for coming.
Just a quick update regarding our last quarter. Traffic is one of the priorities that we established. It's consistent traffic numbers, approximately 44 per member. Traffic interactions, which translates to police visibility and deterrence of property theft and crime. The Eastern Alberta District Crime Reduction Team made a significant arrest regarding one person of interest that we had sold approximately $25,000 worth of scrap metal, which can be translated to higher numbers for the cost of the metal and the damages done. But that caused a significant decrease in the activity regarding those offenses. If you look at the first and second quarters of last year, 94 occurrences. And the last quarter and up to this date has been cut in half. So we have seen a significant drop in the property crime. A change though is the scrap metal legislation has been determined to be against charter rights. So dealers are no longer required to track personal information. That taking into consideration, it's likely they were not actually accurately tracking that information before. Our property crime still seems to be going down based on the initiatives. We have surveillance cameras set up in areas and bait projects and the arrest of that prolific offender. Our body worn camera, a little bit delayed. Instead of the spring here, it'll be coming into effect. We should have our cameras in the fall.
Sounds good.
And that's my report for the quarter. Any questions?
It's amazing how one person can affect those minor property crimes that happen all over.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of a residual effect. The word gets out that we're hammering
Actually,
guys. So
in the area.
yeah,
Not that they're not always looking, but it's when you get one enough that you come and get them.
Mhm.
No, very good.
thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for coming. I also see you're having community engagement, March 20th.
Yes,
Nation and March 18th in Castor at 7 PM.
yes, we are. Just to ensure that the community has involvement in policing initiatives and we can respond to any questions the communities have.
That's the golden age, I think I saw.
Lots of gold involved, the Golden Circle and the Golden Age drug.
Yeah, well, I figured it'd be a more
Together.
big venue. I wouldn't have to yell as much.
Yeah, that's good.
My voice carries, so
Yeah. Oh, that'll be very good. We'll see.
yeah, thank you very much.
Have a good evening.
There with the ministerial order that just went out.
Pardon?
Did you guys find out more about that ministerial order that just went out?
No, I haven't. My understanding is that we were touching base with communities to know that the division and district had received it and they were discussing it and determining a course of action.
We did receive the letter after you called, so it was last Friday.
Saturday, I think I received it.
Yeah, it was really weird timing, but
It was weird timing. It was from Alberta Municipalities person. It wasn't from
minister.
Minister or CP.
Hmm.
And the only reason she knew of it was because her mayor and her had got it or something from the RCP. It was just, yeah, it seemed like kind of a rush thing and it wasn't really. Definitely want to help you any way we can, but
I think that's what the pressing matter was, is just the short notice that we were given. So just to make sure all the communities were aware. We don't appear to have a definitive fentanyl problem here. However, I do understand that the theft of the property, the copper, and a lot of that is used as currency essentially in the drug trade, and we understand that, and that's kind of the steps that we take is combating that.
yeah. Okay. Well, again, thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.
Have a good rest of
Have a
your
good evening.
Have a good night. Okay. Accept that as information.
I can move that. Accept it as information.
Accept the RCMP report as information. All in favor? Carried. Back to 4.1. 2024-7 municipal development plan.
Okay, so for the public hearing, we would have to adjourn the regular meeting of council to proceed with the public hearing and then come back to the regular meeting of council. So council would want to just do it in. We don't have to turn a camera off or anything. We can just go through. And then just basically, and then once we get into that, we can go through that.
Okay, so I'm gonna we adjourn our meeting till we get back with whatever at 7:07. All in favor? Great. So, but we have to open the other meeting for.
Yeah, so we just need to call a public hearing meeting to order.
I'll call a public meeting to order. Municipal Development Plan 2024-703.
Okay, so I have not received any verbal, written, or emails regarding the changes or the provided, sorry, not the changes, the presented municipal development plan as it states today. So there is no additional information to be provided from administration, right? And we haven't had anyone request to sit in this delegation tonight. So we can take questions if council wishes. If not, move forward.
So what are the actual changes in the municipal development plan?
The old one?
Yeah.
That's pretty much the whole document's new.
So we should have a short version of what it actually is or what.
So the biggest changes would have been the zoning reclassifications in each site, or each zoning area, the reclassification of industrial to employment district. We also included some newer allocations into some of the classifications, so changing some of the definitions to allow, for example, like tiny homes or multi-dwelling use.
Excuse me.
Secondary suites. We also included a plan for the future to try and increase population base, but based on different types of growth mechanisms. So depending on different types of industry, so like we were attracting more industrial, then we would look at different types of residential growth. And then also just kind of basically outlining council's future on where we want to see municipality go. So it didn't go as far as identifying a new subdivision, but that would also be included in this municipal development plan if we got to that stage of needing another subdivision development. At this point, most of the focus was on infilling, to making sure that we used up as many of the lots in town as possible to be as conducive as possible to making sure that we weren't wasting any space that we already have. So aside from that, it was mainly just more administrative stuff to making sure that it was to meeting the new municipal government Act and the Land Use Act. of Alberta, making sure that we were just in compliance with some of the new legislation changes that were also introduced. Some of the red tape reductions, mainly part of that, so making sure that development permit times were cut down. Through that document, so just kind of making kind of like a cleanup on the old document and then adding.
Which was kind of time to bring it up to 2025.
Yeah, so, and it has been publicly available since October
Mhm.
document and as well as the compressed version as well. Like the initial final post was November.
Mhm.
Does anybody have any more questions or?
No, nothing, Jonathan.
And just as a note, it has been advertised and it has been publicly available for more than 2 weeks as well. And also the documents themselves were available in the office if anyone did ask for them. And at this date, to date, we haven't had anyone request the documents.
Well, do we need to just announce the next steps in this decision-making process?
So after this public hearing for this municipal development plans of bylaw 2024-703, it'll go back to our regular meeting of council for second, and if council wishes third reading. It has had first reading already, but to require the additional readings moving forward.
Does anybody have any other questions?
No, that's good to me.
Public hearing is concluded at 7:12. Do you want to vote on that, or is this just like a regular council where you just conclude it?
It's the same as the regular, so just
We're done. Four point two, 2024-704 land use bylaw amendment.
okay. So again, we have not had any submissions for the amendment to the land use bylaw for 2024-704 bylaw for the amendment of the land use bylaw. The overview of this document is basically to allow, so on Norfolk Avenue of 4830 and 4826 are classified as commercial currently. The request from us was to change the classification for 4826 back to residential, as a residential dwelling does fit on the lot. As well as for Windsor Avenue for 5016 and 506 Windsor Avenue, and as well as Railway Avenue from 5117 to 5129. There is the amendment change into land use bylaw to allow for multi-family dwellings within a commercial zone. And then also as part of the amendment that was added was to also adjust the urban farming classification to be allowing or to provide allowance for greenhouses within the in the bylaw. It is technically in the bylaw in the definitions section, but it was never actually put into the discretionary use under commercial or industrial. So it's just be a matter of being allowed to add greenhouses into those two classifications as they don't actually fit the urban farming. And then that would be a discretionary still, so it would still need to go to an IPC for approval. It wouldn't be an automatic approval. And then for these other locations, so going back, sorry, to 4826 Norfolk, we have provided the local residents with letters directly that were adjacent to the property, notifying them of the classification change from commercial to residential, and we haven't had anyone come back with an issue with it. There has been no submissions or written submissions for that. As far as what we're calling site 1 and 2 for Windsor Avenue and Royal Avenue or Railway, we haven't had any submissions in oppose or opposite, like in support or opposition for those either. So there's been no correspondence received for those either.
Does anybody have any questions on that?
Nope. Nope.
Straightforward.
We need to, I'll make a motion, we move up to it, or
Yeah, next steps in the decision-making process.
And then just just to also clarify as well, these amendments do not change the land use bylaw itself, except for these 3 points. The rest of the bylaw will stay intact, and it's not gonna change the bylaw number of the land use bylaw either. So this is just a bylaw to amend the bylaw. We won't be replacing the land use bylaw.
Does anybody have any more questions or on this? We'll conclude this hearing at 7:16. Oh. Probably move to
resume the meeting?
recess or resume.
Recess, or how is that?
Yeah, to have a recess. Brett moves a recess, all in favor? Carried.
5 minutes.
I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna go grab a Kleenex while we're recessing. I'll make a motion, we resume.
Moves resume, 7:18, all in favor? Carried. Okay, start with bylaws, 7.1, Chief Administrative Officer bylaw. Number 2025706.
If you said get council to just table this, I forgot to add the bylaw attachment to it, so I'll provide that through email and then bring it back to the next meeting.
Sounds good.
I'll move that we table it to the next meeting.
Move to table it, all in favor? Carried. 7.2, 2024-703 Municipal Development Plan.
Okay, so I'll just quickly go over it one more time. So basically, the town operation is working with Palliser Municipal Service and Blue Rocks to review the updated, to review and update the municipal development plan. The new MDP document was presented to council as a draft in 2023. However, the MDP was not finalized or brought forward for adoption. First reading was provided last year in November. The MDP is therefore presented to council for second and third reading tonight. And as stated before, it's an update to the document from the previous to basically allow for the certain different provisions in the classifications, and then also change use and the naming for the industrial to employment, as well as allowing different multifamily dwellings within a commercial area. So are still limitations to that as well, just to be clear, I forgot to add that earlier. That they will still need to go through MPC for approval, but it doesn't also just allow it everywhere, so it will be a case by case situation to the municipal planning commission or council if required. Other than that, yeah, it's just an update document, with the new legislation and land.
I'd entertain a motion to give second reading to bylaw 2024-703.
Second reading for bylaw, all in favor? Carried. Okay, I'll move third reading. All in favor? Carried. 7.3, 2024-704 land use bylaw amendment.
Okay, so as part of the land use bylaw amendment, as stated before, for site 1 and 2, the classification would be commercial right now, not allowing for multi-dwelling facilities on those 2 lots. So we're requesting that the land use bylaw allow those, two sites to be accommodating for that as such with in compliance with the municipal development plan. As well as the, Norfolk lot being reclassified from resident or back to residential. To allow the dwelling in there, so it'd be classified and so we can tax it accordingly and appropriately. And then also including the greenhouse classification amendment changes as well for allowing that to be in the discretionary use portion of the industrial and commercial.
In a motion to give second reading to bylaw 2024-704.
Brett moves.
Or is that just a second?
Yep,
Is that the same? Yeah, that's great.
Land use bylaw amendment. Brett moves out, all in favor? Carried. Now we need third reading.
Yes, make a motion to third and final.
Bodie moves third reading, all in favor? Carried. Business 8.1. Direction on Coronation Swimming Pool Replacement Project.
Okay, so administration is just seeking clarification from council to proceed with the swimming pool replacement project. This would require us to engage in APC opportunity to sort of put that onto the Alberta Purchasing Connect system to see who we can get to build a pool, so we can start an RFQ for a request for quotation. And then from there, we can bring that back to council for a decision on what types of companies are available and what the timelines are and what they offer. And then from there, it'd be basically selecting who council would like to work with. And then if council wish, they could do an RFD or RFP, sorry. No, sorry.
Too many hours.
RFP. Yeah, RFP, sorry. Request for proposal if they wish to move forward, we could technically back up, or if council's got enough information from the quotation portions, they could move forward with a contractor. The request is coming in early so that we can make sure we have time so appropriately. So if we do have a swimming pool season this year, we can shut down at the end of August and then start working on demolition right away in the fall months, so that when winter months are, we could probably get the foundation for the pool put in. And then spring, hopefully they can get the finalization portions of the pool completed. As far as funding goes, we do have the LGFF. Right now, we have $779,224 in that LGFF pot. That is a carryover from 2023, 2024, and 2025. So the allocations for 24, 25 were unspent. And I did note that down there, so we got a carryover of $62,059 from 23. We had $346,676 from 2024 to 25. And then we received $370,489 for 25, for a total of $779,224. This portion would essentially make up the half of what the contribution from the county would be. So the county would match that dollar fund to go towards the pool, which would in turn provide us with enough funding to fully allocate for a new pool build. This also allows us time to get the implementation of the style pool, the layout of the pool, all of that kind of figured out. As well as the funding amounts that have been suggested to council would also include a splash park into the pool. So there is enough funding within the allocation here that we've asked for that we should be able to get a splash park put off to the side of the pool, outside of the fenced off area. And then it also would allow us to start applying for grants as well, if there's any available grants, working with our community groups to try and apply for any other additional grants that are available, maybe like a CFIP grant through another organization. And just kind of stock a little bit and see what we get on this. I know that the CFIP portions we would have to start working on right away because the deadline is June for the portion. So there may be an opportunity to actually lower the amount that we would put into it, but we would have to start moving forward.
Right.
I have contacted the county and have discussed with the county. They are aware of it and they're fine with the moving forward, and they just want to know a timeline. So basically they just want to make sure that's
For their
we have
budget.
a proper timeline, because
Yeah.
obviously they're gonna have to pay the other half of that.
Yeah, no, Good. It's nice to be partners with your neighbors. How long does that ACP grant take?
Right now, the ACP grant for the 200,000 for the study or the preliminary designing of all this is still in review. I'm hoping to hear back by the end of the month. Cause some people have already been awarded, some communities have been awarded their allocations already. If we don't hear back, it'll probably be end of March after the budget's released.
So the funds that we would use for that, is that included in the 1.4 million?
No.
So that would be over and above, so we might,
Over above and anything that
we have extra in our saved up LGFF and.
so, and
Fine.
the opportunity there is that because we haven't included the 200,000, because we didn't know if we were gonna get it or not, so we didn't include that into the amount, so we've fully funded this without having to go outside. So to speak, the LGF is still a grant fund, but, the ACP, if we are awarded that, that's also in partnership with the county, so they had to sign off that they would partner with that, on that grant with us, so whatever we end up using on that would actually get, used towards this, so that actually comes off the bill as well, so if we use it for design and say we spent $100,000, then it would go towards the pool as well, so the overall cost would come down with.
Well, I guess probably get with it, because
We definitely.
the swimming pool is not getting any newer, it's. And we have redone the house, like, and the stuff in there, so we don't have to do that as.
Yeah, no, that's,
We'll end up replacing a good chunk of it. The new pool that's part of this funding, it does allocate for that as well. It's just the building itself is probably gonna have minor to no renovations at this point. We're not seeing many changes required. Fingers crossed, we don't need to do a major renovation on that.
we've already upgraded a lot of like the heaters and.
Yeah, so we're hoping that some of that can get reused, and not all of it's gonna be.
No.
Like, so I know sand filters already are overseas, they're not compatible, but there are some other technologies like the chlorine plexus. That kind of stuff, so. And I know that the rec director did get a hold of the health inspector, and she did agree that if we were to move forward with the new pool, that we wouldn't be required to replace the pool deck this summer. But if we were going
But if we have-
this year, then it would be a requirement that they be done.
If we have to, we kind of have to, it's how you keep some of these facilities going. But yeah.
I know we got one more year to go, so.
Yeah, so, and then the other part of it too is if we can get it out there and get the demolition portions tendered out as soon as possible and get that done, so it's ready to wait as soon as the last day of the pool.
Yeah.
If the pool's running this year. Then we can get going on it. If unforeseen for circumstances, the pool can't open this year, then we'll review that and we'll come back to council, let council know, and we'll make a decision, or get council to make a decision then.
We can only work with what we know now. I think option one looks like a good way to go. We don't want to make.
I can make that motion.
Brett moves to go proceed with RFQ preparation and initial design work. All in favor? Carried. 8.2, write-off of uncollectible trade receivable accounts.
Okay, so from the 2024 municipal audit that we had conducted last week, the auditors had noted that we need to make a decision on the outstanding 120. Let's get this number right.
125.
125, 423 and 15 cents. These are 48 accounts that have been uncollected over the last 20 years. Unfortunately, some of these accounts are linked to people that have passed on and not here, or deceased, or they've sold property and they're on contact, like we can't get a hold of them, they're uncontactable. So over the years, there has been allocations and these accounts have been essentially written off on the audit side, but we haven't taken them off on our accounts payable side. So now we're asking council to remove them off the accounts payable side so we can lower that number in our audit that shows that we have high outstanding amount of payments that are not paid, but they are covered. So we already paid them off in the books, in the audit side and with tangible dollars, but now we need to clear the actual accounts out. Well, it's just an accumulation of time that we just needed to start working on this. So They've asked for 125,423 for the 2024 year to be cleared out, and then in the 2025 year, they'll bring another list of accounts that would be up for recommendation for to be deemed uncollectible and then to be cleared from the accounts as well. So, and then also just to iterate for 2024 council, we did put in our budget $30,000 for uncollectible accounts for the 23-22 year and 24 year, so to speak, but mainly 23-22. So in that year, we had 19,000 and 27,000 that needs to come out of that pot. So we were over on that a little bit on the budget side for the 24 year by $16,000, but the auditors have stated that we are fine with moving that forward with 16,000 to get that cleared out for the accounts. And then this next year, we'll do it again. We'll put another 30,000 in the budget to clear out for the uncollectible accounts as well and start cleaning those old accounts out.
Kind of hard on the town writing these off. I mean, that's what we have to do. It's kind of hard as if people don't pay what they're supposed to pay. You know,
Yeah.
they think or whatever, but if they passed away, they passed away. And if it's something basically we're doing to clean up our books, I mean, might as well do it. Get on with it.
We face the same with East Central Ambulance every year too, because courtesy just, you can only carry them for so many years and then.
Yeah, it's uncollectible, it's uncollectible. I'll make the motion.
The next one, yeah, uncollectibles. I mean, you keep this on your books and it just wrecks your books.
Exactly.
40 minutes, we write it off. All in favor? Carried. We already got through our CMP report. So now we are to 10.1 council reports.
Wow.
Oh, Brett?
Sure. I don't have a lot because I kind of left the country for a week or so, but
Good thing you brought back some warm weather.
well, it finally came back with me.
Well, it took a little work on it, but you
I'd
got
take
it.
the credit for it. Anyways, before I left Tuesday, February 11th, attended 2 meetings. First was the FCSS meeting. Again, basically we discussed budget. Renos are finally completed over in the office over there and it looks absolutely fantastic. The community fridge has been a little bit busier the last few weeks and I see tonight we noticed it's been kind of stocked up again. That's great. Right after that, I attended the library meeting. They're looking for some volunteers to work casino coming up in April. I forget the dates. It's like the 9th and 10th. Okay. So just thought I'd throw that out there. Obviously, the sooner we know, the better because there's paperwork involved and whatnot. I don't think there was a whole lot other really to report on there. I apologize, I was not able to attend the budget discussion night on the 18th. And I also was not available to attend my Painted Community Adult Learning Council meeting due to a sudden incident at the end of the day. And last night I attended, Ron and I attended, and Quentin, the community visiting conversation. It was a great attendance, received a lot of feedback, some concerns, which is what we were looking for. Basically, this will definitely help council going forward, and I do thank everyone that did take the time to attend. So that's pretty much all I've got.
Thanks. Any questions for Dave? Cody?
All I got, so that we have March 11th, we have upcoming at 7 PM, there's a AGM for the Carnation District Wellness Society. So if anybody wants to join, that's the time to join.
Yeah, it should. It's going quite well there. There's lots of people use it. But
Oh, it's a busy place.
run it. Yeah, that's good. I attended the Painter Economic Partnership, PEPS. They had Nomad Veterinary Services on Doom, discuss some of the regulatory hurdles to starting a veterinary practice. It's, yeah, there's lots that people don't realize, from how you do your billing to how you handle it and to who can be in charge of the whole thing. Basically said if you have 8 vets there, one person has to be the one that answers to the whole thing. So there's working hard to get everything and open for early April, but we'll see. There's lots for them to do. But he seems like he'll work hard on doing it. So They've been selling lots of Peps bucks. I forgot to write it down on this here, or how many, but quite a few. If anybody's ever talking to provincial ministers, mention about the truck driving school, because the issue is, the province is upset with some of the fly-by-nighters. The one that wants to start up out here isn't, and tell them, why are they being penalized? Because they could run quite a few schools out here and people want it, so.
Yeah, we had a lot of people on the list.
And anybody who wants to be in their business directory should let them know. It's applied it online when they get new applications. Coronation was gonna start putting theirs in as we can, and they'll use that, so. But if anybody wants to be on in their electronic stuff, you just would have to get a hold of Peps. Send them an email, and I don't know if they have the application form on the Peps website or not. But sure, if you need help, we can look it up for you and get that. Braid had another Zoom lunch and learn, Bell River Alliance for Economic Development. Kyle Riding, talking about the Wonder Valley project, excuse me. And that's a $70 billion, 7.5 gigawatt hyperscale data center out by Grand Prairie. They started on it 12 years ago, securing power, water, land, etc. There's lots they had to do, and they figured you need about 1 million cubic meters of water per gigawatt of power you use. So if you are doing, you think of 5 gigawatt, and at first they didn't have anybody really going to do it. They just got these stuff. They're off-grid or electricity production, so they had to get the gas and electric, and the gas, because there's wells there that are tied in, so they secured that, and they could change over to solar and wind, et cetera, in the future. Water supply is quite critical. The MD spent 4 million on water so far and 50 million on road upgrade.
Wow.
So, but it is gonna employ a lot of people, and it's quite a project to get. Was here for budget discussion, discuss costs and planning for a new swimming pool, and also for an ice plant replacement, machinery repair and replacement, working with the county to plan costs of projects, which works out very well. I like to be working with them, using LGFF and other grants to assist with paying for any projects we can get. If somebody's gonna give you money, you might as well use it. Veterans Memorial Highway had a meeting I attended, had to basically clean up some financial paperwork. And if you have concerns about any local highways, even if it's not Highway 36, so it's 599, 872, let myself know and we can let them know, because they are lobbying for different stuff all over. And one we had mentioned to them was the west end of 599 is pretty rough, and it needs to be redone, so. There, attended the community visioning meeting. There was quite a few people there and had ideas, and some disappointed it wasn't a town hall, but we're more looking for ideas of where people thought the community should go and what they should do. Some of the ones that I really picked up on, well, the town hall, mentorship for volunteers, pickleball, and a youth center. And those are things I think we should try to work on as we can and see what we can do for that. But like all government stuff, it takes time.
Money.
Yeah, and money. One, it takes somebody,
Money.
probably a volunteer behind it.
Yep.
Or 5 pushing for it and doing a lot of stuff, so. Some of the ones on that youth center, I think they might
That's a great
be pretty
idea.
good to do for it. They're looking at it, so. Don't have any more questions?
No, I can move. Reports as presented.
Brett moves it. Accept the reports as presented, all in favor? Carried. Chief Administrative Officer report.
I apologize, I didn't get a written report in time. So last week we had our municipal audit, so we're just working on things, finalizing some of the stuff that they had asked for, and I got a couple of things that I got over to them. We got some finalization numbers for the grant streams. We'll be submitting our SFEs here right away to the auditors as well. They're pretty happy so far from the audit. They didn't of any concerns that they raised to me, but they will be providing a full report to council. It's possible they're looking to schedule a later than end of April presentation to council for the audit. So that way we can make sure we're not late this year. I also attended an investor meeting in Calgary with a couple different investors, including Maple Leaf Green World. Attended there with a building contractor, as well as two developers and also a I forgot the name of the company. So basically it's just a person that does a liaison, making sure that they're correct. And then I also met with the provincial government as well, that's the companies that come through. So basically we had a meeting in Calgary to discuss opportunities in Coronation as well as in our region. And then we also had that information was sent over to Paint Earth Economic Partnership. They've actually used that to go into Paint Earth Economic Partnerships trade mission for the 2025 year. So PEPS is taking that back to Japan to look for investors in Japan as well. Japan is going, or Barb Kulik and their vice chair of PEPS will be going to Japan on March 6th. They've taken some of the products from our region, from our locals as well. So they're taking products over to Japan to find
PEPs or PEP?
PEP.
Yeah.
Paint Earth or Palliser Economic.
Yeah, they're very similar.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was a big meeting down there and just kind of talking about that and then talking about different opportunities for housing, different opportunities for manufacturing, different opportunities for renewable energies, talking about so as many topics as we could to make sure that we got the message out there that we're open for any attraction for businesses that we can attract to our region to help grow our community and build. So there's some to-do lists from our side to their sides. They wanted a full community portfolio profile, which we've been working with PEP with Palliser Economic Partnership to build. And then we've also been working on building a portfolio for the community to showcase what types we have, including the amendments to our new lands bylaw and our MDP to showcase that we are trying to reduce as much red tape as possible to make sure that we're open for business. So it's well received and hopefully we'll get some feedback from that later date. We've also been working on a new, the new campsite booking system. So the old one was bought out by another company in the United States. So we've transitioned over to their new company for the time being because it was the only thing that we had available to us right away. So we made that transition over so that we can get whoever the new campground attendant is after council decides, then we can get them trained up on that. It's basically the exact same site on the user end, about the exactly same essentially, but on the back end for us, it's just reporting's a little bit better and things have been a little bit more streamlined. As well as there will be we'll have access to actually a storefront, so to speak, on the website as well. So actually sell firewood and everything through the site is okay. Yeah, I think most of it was my time was with audit and then also just going back and forth and doing a lot of the municipal paperwork and getting these documents all updated. And as everyone else has said, I attended the community visioning sessions last night. So one of the biggest takes that I did take from that was communication as a key issue. So I will be providing council with a template on different projects that we are working with that I will try and build a template that council approves to be released to public first, and then be something that's going to be easy to understand where we're at on each project so that we can post those on our website. We also just want to make sure that people understand that Facebook is not our primary source. We were primarily be focusing on the website. So these documents or these project updates I would want to have on the website itself. And we'll try and make it so that people can get regular updates on those projects that we progress through. It was definitely something that was loud and clear last night that we were lacking on the administration side. So I definitely did take that, and I will make
That's something you could still post on Facebook just to say like go to our website for,
Yeah, we'll make sure we advertise that they're available there once we get them in.
just to get it out there.
Yeah, as soon as council approves it and then, well, like I'd like to get a template out as soon as possible here. I was gonna start working on one today, but we are kind of starting into the budget cycle here, so. The other key takeaway from last night, I think, was that we need to really focus on our community. I think that was a big message last night, that our community needs to be front and center on all recreation and other projects. What I would say to that is that we have a really very big focus on our rec right now. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of money to go around for every department, so we are trying to basically prioritize. And right now, our swimming pool is our biggest priority. Aside that, our second biggest priority is the ice plant. And our third biggest priority, which is technically our first biggest priority as well, is our sewer and water, mainly our sewer lines and our roads. So juggling all of these different aspects is expensive, extremely expensive. One of the biggest topics last night was facilities. We do not have the capacity to get into a 12 or 14 or $21 million new facility, or even a renovated facility for those amounts. So we are actively trying to find grants. One of the biggest challenges that we keep facing is grants are not really available. And the ones that are available, we're not able to get. And if we can get them, it's a small pot, so we don't get a large amount. So there's supposed to be changes that are coming that we've been promised for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
We haven't seen anything. So I just want to make sure the community understands that we are always actively looking for that. We do have 3 grant writers at this point trying to help us find grants in different capacities. If people know of a grant and they don't think they apply for it, please just reach out to us and we'll look into it. We won't say no to anything that can help our community.
But some of the times where a person thinks a grant would be good and we can get it, when you look into it, we can't qualify.
We don't qualify.
No, there's lots of that where somebody may get it and we wonder how, because we wouldn't qualify for it, so.
Everyone thinks it's so easy. They just say, just get a grant, and just get a grant and do it, but no one actually knows what it takes to get a grant.
Well, it's just everybody's fighting for the same grants too, right? So.
The other key takeaway, I think, from last night is, yes, it wasn't a town hall. The intent of this was to help build our community. We don't want to,
We wanted feedback.
where we're tearing the community apart. I think that it's more constructive and more appropriate to try and find
Solution.
work together as a community to advance the community forward. And as such, I would also recommend or request that council schedule another community visioning event. It does, I think from what we learned last night, we could probably do it on our own, knowing how last night worked. I think that would be a proactive approach to continuing the conversation and make sure the conversation continues. I think there's some opportunity there to learn more. I know from what Karen had provided last night, she will be providing a full report on what was discussed last night that can be available publicly based on the notes and the information that was provided to her last night. So we will have that by our next council meeting. She has promised that we'll have it on March 10th. This next council meeting date. Or to be brought to council, and then once council has it, we can just, if council wishes, we can publish it publicly, or we can put it publicly as soon as possible. It's up to council how you want to deal with that. And then I would also like to make sure that everyone is fully aware that last night did not cost us a penny aside from renting the hall.
I was gonna mention that if you quit there, but it was being polite, so, because somebody asked last night how much she cost to get there, and it wasn't. That's Alberta Mills.
Employee of the provincial government, we did not pay her to be here. We have to be careful with the rumor mill on those kind of things. It's better to ask the question than to state it, because it can get.
And we said right from the start, we weren't gonna spend a lot of money.
Better ask somebody that knows, and
So unfortunately, we don't want to get Karen in trouble for. So please just have questions that are related to what was discussed last night or any of our projects. Our door is open for discussion. Please come see us about the conversation. And I think that's probably a big thing for all of us in the community to understand that we have the answers here in the office. And, we're here to talk about what we can talk about. Yes, I know there was some frustrations last night as well when it came to the CCTIF portion of the conversation. we're dealing with a federal entity that doesn't like to do anything other than what they like to do. Let's just be very clear. It's a challenge for us to get through those hurdles as much as it is for everyone on the community. So when we get placed onto a gag order, it's not because we wanted to. That's the way the federal government works. So we have a lot more success with the provincial government. They don't do that. It doesn't matter what party it was. I don't think we've ever had a time in provincial side that they've ever gagged anything. Federal is a completely different animal, so we play by their rules if we want money.
Yeah, it was as much as we weren't supposed to say a lot of things, but if somebody's interested, could call Prairie's County and they'd tell them whatever they wanted, so.
Again, we have people that you can talk to, so it's
Yeah.
better to call us. We can get you in contact with them to make sure, so. The other thing I just wanted to remind everyone in the community as well is that April 8th is the last day for assessment appeals. So please make sure if you are upset with your assessment, please contact the office. We'll get you in contact with the auditor as soon as possible, or I believe his phone number is on the back of the document on the sheet. So please contact him as soon as possible to work it out. And if you can't, then he'll help you with the next steps as well.
And that, just contacting him doesn't necessarily mean you have to pay the fee to have it reviewed.
No, and he'd rather you contact him first before.
So he would tell you if you were going into where you had to
Right.
pay the fee, so before you do, so you have another decision, which is really good.
I think, and then, yeah, as far as we're going to budget portions now with council, so for the next couple of weeks, Blaine and I will be going through the budget cycle, and I'll be driving her crazy because I'll be asking for a lot of information, and we'll be working forward on that, so.
I wanted to just touch on last night, just one thing, and that's, I'm assuming I can speak for all of us, but I'm especially speaking for myself. Besides my work or employer, I mean, I'm always approachable. Like, I kind of got some sense that people feel that they can't talk to us, or I heard a comment that we yell at them. Yeah, I'm available, reach out. I'm always here to listen at the appropriate place. Like I said, it doesn't work well at my job. Obviously, doesn't work well for anybody there, but we're all approachable and
But
always willing to listen. So
much,
I would rather just have somebody come to me than to read all of whatever on Facebook. So I just want
it's
to.
much easier if they talk to us and we can
Yeah.
tell them what actually is happening or.
They
why
elected
make
us,
certain
well,
decisions.
assuming they elected us, like,
Oh,
talk to
sorry,
us.
did you-
No, that's all right, but I mean, they elected us and yeah, that's what we're here to do, is represent them, so. I just wanted to throw that out there, sorry.
Are you done now?
Yep.
Okay.
I said, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh. Oh, we're here to be approached and talked to if you want, and if you have trouble with somebody, let another one of them know and we'll see what happened and what goes on, but we want to work with everybody because they're all our neighbors and we want to do what's best for Core Nation.
And I think the other takeaway from last night was, everyone that showed up definitely has a very strong feeling for the community, and they definitely want to see the success of the community in the future, as well as everyone in this room, I believe. would be the
Absolutely.
Same, so. We're always gonna have a difference of opinion. That's normal. It's democracy, and that's the way it should be. So please just, if you have questions, come see us. If you are not sure about something, come see us. If you want to know more about a project, we'll tell you what we can, as much as we can. And our door is open, and it always has been. The only thing I do require is that people be respectful. We have in recent had a lot of people calling and screaming and yelling. We aren't going to tolerate it. Unfortunately, it's gotten to the point where it's not professional, and we're not going to be abused here in the office either. As much as people in the community don't want to be abused, we don't want to be abused either.
You can be upset, but you can still do it reasonably, respectfully.
We're not gonna
That's right.
ban anyone from the office, because that's not here. We're here to work with you. We know that sometimes people get upset and they get heated. We're willing to work with you even past that, so just please work with us. Sometimes I know it's frustrating, but we are here to try and make it easy for everyone, so. That's basically the synopsis of my report. That's it. If there's any further questions for me.
Any questions for Quentin?
Motion accepted from.
What was accepted, all in favor? Carried. Financial reports, 11.9, accounts payable.
There it is.
Insurance hasn't got cheaper.
I hate to tell you, it's gone up even more this year, so
That isn't for this year.
that one is, yeah,
Yeah, that should be for,
sorry. I'm still in 24 mode, translating over to 25.
It's pretty straightforward, I would say. Well, I'd entertain a motion to pay the bills unless anybody has any.
Bills, all in favor? Carried. Revenue and expense report. So very much is like. Family and community support services, something must have been paid early in the year here.
Probably the requisition for January.
Yeah.
Well, the thing maybe should note as well, and it'll be coming out here right away, is the town operation itself will be doing recycling. Recycling will be moved over to circular materials, which is a provincially run program. So our portion that we're paying to E360, we will not be paying anymore, so that will be reflected in the budget. And then circular materials would be directly paying E360 to still collect carbon or collect recycling and coordination. It just will be done through them, not us. So we will be helping them to unveil that in the community, but moving forward, it'll be, if there's any issues with recycling, they'll go to circular materials. We'll still be collecting the refuse. We'll be dealing with garbage collection ourselves. And only the garbage cans ourselves we'll be dealing with. We won't be taking care of recycling bins or recycling at all anymore. It will all be moved over. And that's going to be for an April 1st start. So April Fool's start.
Okay.
And as I said, there'll be some more information provided here in the next couple of weeks. So I'll be working with the girls here in the office to get all that posted and put out there. And I think circular materials also has a website with all the information on it as well that you can go back over and look at. So so basically we're just going to be taking that off our bill and maybe going to them.
I know you always change or share the schedule and stuff like on the utility bill in the back or something. Maybe that's something we could do too, just.
Yeah, and the scheduling is not supposed to change for now, but there's no promise or guarantee from circular materials they won't change the scheduling. So we won't be in control of the cycling part, but garbage collection will still be us.
So they'll still use the same bins? Or is that gonna
They're
change?
gonna.
Or is that what we're still working on? Okay.
These are gonna use the same style bins. They will be wheeled bins. I know that. It's just, I don't know if they're gonna be the same size as ours or smaller. So
That's what happens with all the blue ones that we have already then.
we keep them. Those will be ours, and the residents technically have paid for those. So if they're on property, they'll just stay on that property and they can use them.
Okay.
They were paid through with the.
Yeah, yeah.
We didn't provide them with our recycling bins because they were only gonna offer us $5,500 for all the bins. And we paid well over 20,000 for them, so we just said, no, we'll keep the bins and let the residents have them and they can use them for whatever they feel like. Versus selling them for pennies on the dollar.
Would they be able to be used for regular garbage going forward?
I'm not too sure at the moment because I don't know what color the new recycling bins are gonna be. Once we know that, then we can come back.
If they're a different, if the recycle is a different bin, then, because a lot of times our bins get broken or.
Yeah. I'm not 100% sure I answer that quite yet, but I'll, yeah, as soon as I know.
Find out.
And then this program is also working with the waste transfer site stations as well as a separate program. It's a work program, so we are trying to get the transfer site set up as depots as well. So that we can actually get paid more money through that as a depot. So then instead of us having to haul them all the way to Red Deer, it'll go to transfer sites and then they'll sort or do it. Transfer sites and then go from there, but that's being done through paint and waste. I'll more to comment or talk about that later once that's solidified, but basically that's where the hope is right now. All right, I meant to add that into my report.
Well, I can make a motion to accept the expense and revenue report.
Recommend to accept the revenue expense report. All in favor? Carried. 15.1 correspondence municipal affairs.
Okay, so the first piece of correspondence was received from the Minister of Municipal Affairs regarding the joint use planning agreements with the school board. They have extended this now to June 10th, 2026, so we still now have another year again. Our joint use planning agreement has been brought forward to the school board and we have gone back and forth and discussed it a couple times, but there's been no finalization of the document as such as of yet. So I'm not too sure if this is just being postponed because of municipal elections coming up into the next year would be my guess. So I will reach out to the school board here and see if anything's really changed than what we had kind of drafted before, if and we'll just keep working on it, so.
Do we want us to accept that one? Or do both of them together? Or all three of them together?
You can do probably just individually because they are ministerial.
Okay, somebody want to accept it as information?
I'll make that.
Cody does, all in favor? Carried. 15.2, Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Services.
So this was the conversation that we had discussed with the RCMP sergeant this. There was the Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Services released a ministerial order last week sometime that we weren't made aware of it right away, and apparently the deadline of it was the 17th, so pretty sure like it was released and then immediately requested to be here too.
I think I got the email on Saturday and the deadline was Tuesday,
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
and that was over the long weekend.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so there was a lot of confusion. There was
but, yeah,
people not understanding really what it was. So basically what the Minister Ellis has requested is that CPOs have powers compared to police officers. They want CPOs to have a bit more authority as police officers to help crack down on fentanyl trafficking and fentanyl distribution, as well as people that are using fentanyl. Then they're also looking at other border agency stuff like that, but it's not unrelated to us. So the RCMP did reach out to us before we even were aware of it to find out if we had received the letter firstly, and then secondly, they also were trying to figure out how CPOs work in a community that doesn't have a CPO. Because they were also inferring in some ways that a bylaw officer would also be qualified for this, but they haven't really stated that. It's kept under CPO, but there's been discussions about that too. We just don't know how that's gonna work. You know, you go to the city and a bylaw officer is usually a peace officer. We don't have that here. It's not conducive, it's not appropriate, and it's also unsafe. So RCMP here are working with K Division as a whole to figure out how to handle this, and they're supposed to be giving us some options later, but as far as things go, like the only other option that we would have would be the county peace officer or an actual peace officer or sheriff would be another option, but those are limited to our availability.
So we don't quite have the equipment or the training on a bylaw officer is what they want to have for,
If we want to go spend $170,000 on a
well, like we don't actually have what they wanted, but we do support them trying to cut out fentanyl, but anybody have any other questions?
Make a motion to accept that for information, I guess.
Was accept as information, all in favor? Carried. 15.3. 2025 Ministers Awards for Municipal and Public Library Excellence.
Okay, so this was also a letter sent from the Minister of Municipal Affairs, also asking for each community to submit any municipal public library excellence or anyone that's contributed to the library system for a long period of time. So they just wanted to get some nominations in from each community or multiple nominations or anything that they feel that the library's done that's been successful or something to showcase. So they're just looking for anything that they can acknowledge at this point. So I did pass this to all of council to bring forward, and I believe also here to the president of the library board. So hopefully if there's anything, just yeah, follow the letter. It does have all the information and the links to submit.
Quite sure. On somebody in our library system for some of the awards. They do a good job and work hard.
We've had some pretty dedicated board members too for over the years too. So. Well, I can move a motion to accept this as our
Move to accept this information, all in favor? Carried.
move. We go on camera.
That moves to go in camera for 16.1, all in favor?